Hi, my name's Christine. I'm a demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and the purpose of this video is to kind of show a couple of different products that I've been playing with. I fell down a bit of a rabbit hole and thought, you know what, I'm going to film this because just the ideas were just flowing, and I really wanted to take you with me on this little journey. So it all started with cork. So I don't know if you've seen this stuff. It's fairly thin. It has the feel and look of cork. It's just beautiful. It comes in 2 sheets of 12 by 12, and the price is $10.25, I believe. So good price there. I used it to stamp an image. Isn't that gorgeous? This is the Reflected in Nature stamp set. I'm wowed by the effect. Now it does take some time to dry if you want to do this. About an hour or so that you just want to set it aside and not touch it, but the effect is just so beautiful. I've also used it as background pieces, but then I wanted to use it with dies. So this is the Love of Leaves stamp set, which came with, it was bundled at the time with the Stitched Leaves dies. And I bought these together, and I love them, but fall is such a short season that I find I don't get to use it a lot. So I was excited to be able to pull it out. This is a die from the Stitched Leaves dies, and they're really cool. They're 2-part dies. Excuse me. So if you're doing like regular paper, you could put this stitched inner piece, and it does all the detailing on the leaf. I did not do this with the cork. I decided to try something a bit different. So here's what I did do. So I did stitch it. And the other really neat thing with these dies is they are stitched themselves. So my inner leaf, I'm going to try to bring this up a bit. My inner leaf has no stitching on it. It's just the outline of the leaf itself. But the outer piece has stitching all the way around it, which I thought was really cool. So, and then, then I thought, hey, with my rectangle, my stitched rectangle dies, I could cut this piece out. So I went and pulled my good old stitched rectangle dies out to do that. So we're gonna play with, we're actually making 2 cards today because I love working with the actual die cut and then the negative too. So I'll set my die aside because I don't need it. And I don't think I'll be using this extra piece of cork, but we shall see. All right, so for our first card, we've got half a sheet of Cajun Craze, same color as the ink we'll be using. So it's a half sheet, 11 by 8.5, which I've cut at the 5.5 mark and then scored at 4 1/4. And I'm just noticing that my manicure matches this paper beautifully. It's not quite planned, but it is fall. All right, so I'm just going to fold this card base in half. And I like to use my bone folder to make that line nice and crisp. Now, so that's my base. I've got here, again, with my stitched rectangles, I die cut everything. So this is a piece of Mossy Meadow that we're going to just glue down. I'm just using my liquid glue here. Yeah, I started playing with the various bits and pieces to make these cards and just, what if I did this? And what if I did that? And oh my gosh, I should really put this in a video because they're such gorgeous products and I don't use them as much as I should. So I wanted to really showcase those for you. And this cork, oh my goodness, it's just awesome. Like, look at that. It's super simple, 3 pieces, but doesn't it have like the biggest wow? Now, the cork is a little bit thin, so I don't really want to put it on dimensionals by itself. This stem would kind of probably get droopy. This is paper at the back, so you can use liquid glue on the back side of it. Because the front is not porous, which is why it took so long for that ink to dry on it, I would not recommend using liquid glue on the front of it. That's where your glue dots or other non-liquid adhesives would come in. There we go. So I do want to add a sentiment to this, and I hadn't gotten very far. Actually, before I do the sentiment, or while I do the sentiment, let's do the inside piece as well. I use the stitched rectangles to cut out another piece. This is crumb cake that I'll just end up gluing inside like so. But let's use our stamp set. I love the stamp set. These stamps are, sorry, I'm just going to peel this outer layer off. Forgive the noise. So that's the protective layer on the stamps. The stamps themselves are, what do they call that when they're super detailed? Distinctive. So they've got like this different gradient in the stamp. I'll show you. I'm going to ink up my stamp, and I want to stamp off on this one. Let me do that over here, because if I use it full strength, we won't be able to write on this piece of paper. So, and actually I want to see what it's going to look like. I'm going to ink it up and do this again actually, but can you all see that? You can't, my goodness, I'm sorry. Just move the camera a little bit. There we go. So I've stamped off twice, and let's do a third. Okay, so I'm going to use this last strength on here so that we can write on top of it and it's not going to be too distracting. So again, just 1, 2. I love Cajun Craze. It's probably my favorite fall ink that we've got. There we go. So it's just lightly there, but you can completely write on top of that and it won't distract. And I'm just going to wash off the stamp. I hadn't even noticed that my nail polish is exactly this color. That's so fun. Now I'm all distracted by my nails. Sorry. All right. So I was just using my Simply Chamois there to clean off my stamp. So I don't want to put a huge sentiment on this because it's I don't want to take away from our really beautiful leaf. So I'm just using the little hello, and I'm putting that on a scrap of crumb cake. And, all right, so I'm just going to use my scissors to cut this. I'm just going to cut it on a bit of an angle for 2 reasons. One, it's just a little bit different, kind of fun. And the other reason is that you don't have to worry about your straight lines quite so much because it's on an angle. So it's all good. Now we'll put that on a dimensional just to pop it up a bit. Excuse my reach. And I'm almost out of dimensionals, so I am down to that border part. You can, cut that frame or the border and use every single little last bit of this stuff. And I don't want to put it on the leaf because I find the colors are too close, so I'm just going to put it down here. And let's jazz this up a little bit with some bling. I see 2 kind of really good options here. There's the Gilded Gems, which are golden color. And then we've also got the pretty matte decorative dots. I think I'll go with my Golden Gems. I really like the kind of play against the cork and mixing the different mediums. And I'm just going to use my Take Your Pick tool to pick this up. Turns out I use my thumbnail for a lot of things, and I broke it the other day. And it's a pain, I gotta tell you. So I'm getting creative and using different tools. So I'm not gonna put too many of these down, but my magic number is usually 3. And there's 3 different sizes of these dots. So that's what I'm going to do. There we go. So very simple, and the last thing we need to do is put our other piece on the inside of the card. So this doesn't, you know, it's not holding anything down, so it doesn't need a ton of glue, just a little bit to hold it in place. A little goes a long way, as they say. There we go. I think that's straight. That's why I like to use liquid glue, is I can move things around a little bit before it sets. And actually, I am going to put one more stamp in here because I love this sentiment so much, and it's one of the things that, one of the ones that really drew me to this stamp set. And it says, "I thought of you today," which is such a lovely sentiment. And I'm going to just put that right over top of my leaf, but with the full strength so you can see it clearly. Doesn't that look nice? All right, so that's our first card that all started with this lovely cork leaf. So card number 1. Now, card number 2, I decided to use the background of crumb cake. I've used the Cajun Craze and again pulled in my rectangle dies, my stitched rectangle dies. Now we're gonna fold this one. And this is just a regular size card. So once folded, it's 5.5 by 4.25. Where's my bone folder? Here we go. There we go. So I do want to do some stamping on this layer, and I'm going to pull out that hello stamp again to do that. And we're going to stamp tone on tone. So that's when you use the same color ink as paper. But before I do that, I just want to get a really good sense of where this is going to be. And to do that, I'm going to mark this with a pencil. I am not going to, well, actually you can always erase pencil marks, but I kind of want to indicate where I'm going to see. So I'm going underneath. There we go. Oh, and I'm just going to do one edge. Okay, so all of these pencil marks will be hidden. And I'm going to put that aside for now. And what I'm going to do is a whole bunch of hellos. Rather than doing a separate little piece for my sentiment, I'm just going to stamp it. And the tricky thing with a hello is you hope that you're not going to end up with just the H-E-L-L showing, because then, well, you know, it looks funny. There, it's about right. Okay. And if I stamp off more than kind of twice, it's going to disappear. So that's why I'm being a little, just going twice. So that means I'm stamping once at full strength and then stamping again. And it's okay if they overlap a bit. I think it'll just kind of add a bit of character. So let's see how we're doing as I stamp blindly. Well, that's kind of fun. I think that's probably enough. So I'm going to put one more full strength one. I'll do one more. Here and here. And let's hope I haven't created the very scenario I wanted to avoid. Ah, I did. Let's see if I can fix it. Yeah, that works. Okay, so it's just about positioning this that I don't have an H-E-L-L. because how embarrassing. Well, not really embarrassing, but whatever. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that I can use liquid glue on this, so I'm going to. And I am going to erase these marks just in case I end up positioning this a little bit differently. Because Stampin' Up's cardstocks are dyed all the way through, I don't have to worry about having marks showing from taking away my pencil marks, because I'm not, even if a little bit of paper lifts, it's the same color underneath. It's not like I'm scraping off one layer with a white core. It's just done the whole way through. So it's a little more forgiving than some papers. Now I'm being careful not to put glue in my stitch marks. And the reason for that is if I do, the glue is going to, the liquid glue is going to come up through those stitch marks. So I'm going to avoid that. All right, let's position this. It's going to be a bit different than I had originally done it, I'm sure. As long as it's fairly straight, I am happy. There we go. Isn't that cute? Just some hellos popping through, and then I don't need to have a separate sentiment. I'm going to glue this down. I think I will just lay that flat and then add some bling. I'm just went a little heavy-handed there with the glue, and I want to make sure it's not going to poke through those little stitch marks as I'd mentioned. It's amazing what the dyes do just to add a little bit of interest to something. I really find when I got my die cutting and embossing machine, it was like, whoa, game changer. All right, so here I can go with the Gilded Gems again, or I can bring in a bit more color with my dots, which is what I'm going to do as soon as I open those. So these are fun because they're ombre. So we've got Evening Evergreen is where it starts here, the new color. Then this is Old Olive, and then we've got one of the yellows. I forget which one it is. Might be Bumblebee, and then a Cherry Cobbler, and they all kind of just go from dark to light. Because we're doing a nice fall card, I'm going to bring in some nice fall colors. This red will look really good too. So we'll do a little bit of that. I am a summer person through and through, but seeing all these gorgeous fall colors, oh my gosh, it makes it a little bit easier to accept that summer's over. Not super easy, mind, but a little easier. All those gorgeous leaves. I was out in my kayak up until last week and just admiring the trees, and oh, so beautiful. So I'm going to stop it there. I don't think I'll add too many more because I find there's a fine line between really pretty and oh my goodness, what have I done? So I'm happy with this spot. And so these are the two cards that resulted from my little trip down my rabbit hole with my cork. I hope they inspire you to try something new, or to pull out some sets that maybe you've been neglecting a little bit and do a little fun stamping. Have a great day. Thank you for watching.